Radio reading service, a United Way partner agency. We are located on the campus of Fayetteville State University. Our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. Today is Monday, November 6, 2017, and the radio hosts today are
Beverly Simonet
and Robert Dean. We will be reading the news from the Monday Fayetteville Observer. Your weather. Today there will be fog in the morning and periods of sun. The high will be 81, the low 61. Tomorrow will be cloudy with a little rain, not as warm, the high 73, the low 52. And Wednesday will be mostly cloudy with showers. It will be cooler with a high of 62 and a low of 49. Thursday will be cloudy with a bit of rain, the high will be 63 and the low 49. And Friday there will be times of cloud and sun. The high will be 65, the low 43. Week ahead. If you like warm weather, you'll love the early days this week. The rest of the time, Fayetteville is going to be cool and occasionally dreary, with light showers possible just about any time. It all depends on where a weak cold front lines up, but many in the region may not see the high side of 60 after Tuesday. Follow Chick Jacobs at FO_weather on Twitter.
Today in history. Today is Monday, November 6th, the 310th day of 2017. There are 55 days left in the year. Today's highlight: on November 6, 1977, 39 people were killed when the Kelly Barnes Dam in Georgia burst, sending a wall of water through Toccoa Falls College. In 1860, former Illinois Congressman Abraham Lincoln of the Republican Party was elected President of the United States as he defeated John Breckinridge, John Bell, and Stephen Douglas. In 1861, Confederate President Jefferson Davis was elected to a 6-year term of office. In 1906, Republican Charles Evans Hughes was elected governor of New York, defeating newspaper publisher William Randolph Hearst. In 1928, in a first, the results of the Republican Herbert Hoover's presidential election victory over Democrat Alfred E. Smith were flashed onto an electric wraparound sign in the New York Times building. In 1947, Meet the Press made its debut on NBC. The first guest was James A. Farley, former Postmaster General and former Democratic National Committee Chair. The host was the show's co-creator, Martha Roundtree. In 1956, President Dwight D. Eisenhower won re-election, defeating Democrat Adlai E. Stevenson. In 1984, President Ronald Reagan won re-election by a landslide over Vice President Walter Mondale, a Democratic challenger. In 2012, President Barack Obama rolled to re-election, vanquishing Republican Mitt Romney as he picked up 332 electoral votes compared to 206 for the former Massachusetts governor. Obama was elected 51%. Obama received 51% of the popular vote as opposed to 41% for Romney. Today's birthdays: actress June Squibb is 88. Singer Eugene Pitt of the Jive 5 is 80. Actress Sally Field is 71. Singer Rory Block is 68. Jazz musician Arturo Sandoval is 68. TV host Catherine Cryer is 63. News correspondent and former California First Lady Maria Shriver is 62. Actress Lori Singer is 60. Rock singer Corey Glover is 53. Actor Brad Bromberg is 53. Actor Peter DeLucy is 51. Actress Kelly Rutherford is 49 today, and actor Ethan Hawke is 47. Chef TV judge Marcus Samuelson is 47. Actress Sandy Newton is 45. Model actress Rebecca Romijn is 45. Actress Zoe McMillan is 43, and actress Taryn Manning is 39 today. Basketball player Lamar Odom is 38. Actress Patrina Miller is 33 today, and actress Emma Stone is 29. And one of our listeners has a birthday today, Annie Birthday. Happy birthday.
And Daybreak Need to Know book signing. The Airborne and Special Operations Museum will host a book signing with author Mark Bowden on November 12th from 1 to 3 p.m. Beginning at 1 p.m., Bowden will hold a question and answer session in the museum's theater, and immediately following will sign his latest book, Hugh 1968, A Turning Point of the American War in Vietnam. The book is the first battle book from Bowden since Black Hawk Down. Hugh 1968 is the story of the centerpiece of the Tet Offensive and a turning point in the American War in Vietnam. Books are available in the museum's gift shop. For more information, call 643-2774 or go to the website asomf.org. The museum is at 100 Bragg Boulevard. Vietnam Moving Wall. The half-size replica of the Vietnam Wall will be on display on the parade field of the Airborne and Special Operations Museum Thursday through November 12th. A torchlight ceremony takes place at 6:30 p.m. Thursday, and flags to honor veterans will be flown on the parade field November 10th through 20th. They can be purchased from the museum for $5. For more information, call 643-2778 or go to the website shop.asomf.org. The museum is at 100 Bragg Boulevard. Lecture Series. Joel Achenbach is the speaker for the next Ruth Pauley Lecture Series, scheduled for 7:30 p.m. Thursday at Owens Auditorium on the campus of Sand Hills Community College in Pinehurst. Achenbach, a writer for the Washington Post, will discuss surviving the age of fake news, pseudoscience, bunk, and nonsense. The lecture is free and open to the public. For more information, call 295-7456. The college is at 3395 Airport Road.
Live Wire by Observer staff. Talk to a councilman about changes to city signage. Question. I today noticed the Fayetteville city limit sign on Bragg Boulevard as I left Fort Bragg, near the NC 295 interchange. Isn't that part of Fort Bragg in Fayetteville also? Maybe a leaving Fort Bragg or begin city services sign might be appropriate there, but that sign seems to contradict the idea we were proud to have part of Fort Bragg in the city. Yes, Fayetteville. Answer. Yes, that part of Fort Bragg and Fort Bragg at the outer loop are well inside the Fort Bragg city limits. Bragg Boulevard itself runs another 2 miles through Fort Bragg before it reaches the Fort Fayetteville Spring Lake city limit at Butner Road. If you would like to have the sign changed, Livewire suggests you contact your city council member. You live in District 9 ES, so your councilman is Jim Art. You could also attend a city council meeting and make the request during the meeting's public comment section. Paul Wolverton. Question. If I go on vacation for 2 weeks and the police raid my house after I've been gone for 2 weeks and find drugs, who do drugs belong to? Robbie McCoy of Elizabethtown. Answer. That's an interesting question with a bunch of potential answers, but each begins with the same caveat. If you're asking this question, you really should be asking this to a lawyer. A few basic notes. If your property was raided, odds are they've been building a case for a while. They didn't pick the house out of a hat. If the house is your property or you are renting and your name is on the agreement, law enforcement will certainly want to talk to you. Was someone house sitting? Did someone have a key besides you? Does anyone live there besides you? Law enforcement will be looking for a reason someone besides you would have access to the property. Otherwise, that phone call should be to a very good lawyer. Chick Jacobs. Livewire seeks to answer questions of general interest and consumer topics. Initials are used to identify questioners with names. When names are given, contact Livewire at livewire@fayobserver.com or at 486-3516.
26 killed in Texas church attack. Sunday's rampage is now Texas's deadliest mass shooting. By Jim Vertuno, The Associated Press, Sutherland Springs, Texas. A man dressed in black tactical-style gear and armed with an assault rifle opened fire inside a church in a small South Texas community on Sunday, killing 26 people and wounding about 20 others in what the governor called the deadliest mass shooting in the state's history. Officials didn't identify the attacker during a news conference Sunday night, but two other officials, one a U.S. official and one in law enforcement, who were briefed on the investigation, identified him as Devin Kelly. They spoke to the Associated Press on the condition of anonymity because they weren't authorized to discuss the investigation. The U.S. official said Kelly lived in a San Antonio suburb and doesn't appear to be linked to organized terrorist groups. The official said investigators are looking at social media posts Kelly may have made in the days before Sunday's attack, including one that appeared to show an AR-15 semi-automatic weapon. At the news conference, Freeman Martin, the regional director of the Texas Department of Public Safety, said the attacker was dressed all in black, wearing tactical gear and a ballistic vest, when he arrived at a gas station across from the First Baptist Church at around 11:20 a.m. He crossed the street and started firing a Ruger AR rifle at the church and continued after entering the building. As he left, he was confronted by an armed resident who chased him. A short time later, the suspect was found dead in his vehicle at the county line, Martin said. There were several weapons inside. Martin said it's unclear if the attacker died of a self-inflicted wound or if he was shot by the resident who confronted him. He said investigators weren't ready to discuss a possible motive for the attack. He said the dead ranged in age from 5 to 72 years old. 23 were found dead in the church, 2 were found outside, and 1 died after being taken to a hospital. Federal law enforcement swarmed the small community 30 miles southeast of San Antonio after the attack to offer assistance, including ATF investigators and members of the FBI's evidence collection team. Among those killed was the 14-year-old daughter of the church's pastor, Frank Pomeroy, and his wife, Sherry. Sherry Pomeroy wrote in a text message to the AP that she and her husband were out of town in 2 different states when the attack occurred. "We lost our 14-year-old daughter today and many friends," she wrote. "Neither of us have made it back into town yet to personally see the devastation. I am at the Charlotte airport trying to get home as soon as I can." The wounded were taken to hospitals. Video on KSAT television showed the first responders taking a stretcher from the church to a waiting airlife helicopter. 8 victims were taken by a medical helicopter to the Brooke Army Medical Center, the military hospital said. Megan Posey, a spokeswoman for Connolly Memorial Medical Center, which is in Floresville and about 10 miles from the church, said multiple victims were being treated for gunshot wounds. She declined to give a specific number, but said it was less than a dozen. Alina Berlanga, a Floresville resident who was monitoring the chaos on a police scanner and in Facebook community groups, that everyone knows everyone else in the sparsely populated county. Sutherland Springs has only a few hundred residents. "This is horrific for our tiny little tight-knit town," said Alina Berlanga. Everybody's going to be affected, and everybody knows someone who's affected, she said. Regina Rodriguez arrived at the church a couple hours after the shooting and walked up to the police barricade. She hugged the person she was with. She had been at an amusement park with her children when she heard of the shooting. She said her father, 51-year-old Richard Rodriguez, attends the church every Sunday, and she hadn't been able to reach him. She said she feared the worst. Nick Ulick, 34, is a church member who didn't go Sunday morning because he was out late Saturday night. He said his cousins were at the church and that his family was told at least one of them, a woman with 3 children and pregnant with another, is among the dead. He said he hadn't heard specific news about the other. We just gathered to bury their grandfather on Thursday, he said. This is the only church here. We have Bible study, men's Bible study, vacation Bible school. Somebody went in and started shooting, he said, shaking his head and taking a long drag of his cigarette. President Donald Trump tweeted from Japan, where he is on an Asian trip, that he was monitoring the situation. Texas Governor Greg Abbott called the shooting an evil act. Sutherland Springs is in a rural area where communities are small and tight-knit. The area is known for its annual Peanut Festival in Floresville, which was most recently held last month. We're shocked and dismayed, said State Senator Judith Zaffirini, a Laredo Democrat, whose district includes Sutherland Springs. It's especially shocking when it's such a small, serene area. These rural areas, they are so beautiful and so loving. Zaffirini said she had called several county and local officials, but not been able to get through, did not have any firm details. The church is a white, wood-framed building with a double door at the entrance and a Texas flag on a pole at the front area. The morning worship service was scheduled for 11 a.m. The first news reports of the shooting were between noon and 12:30 p.m. The church has posted videos of its Sunday services on a YouTube channel, raising the possibility that the shooting was captured on video. In the most recent service, posted October 29th, Frank Pomeroy parked a motorcycle in front of his lectern and used it as a metaphor in his sermon for having faith in forces that can't be seen, whether it be gravity or God. I don't look at the moment, I look at where I'm going and look at what's out there ahead of me, Pomeroy said, choosing to trust in the centripetal forces and the things of God he's put around me.
Spring Lake work nears completion. $32 million project to improve traffic flow along NC 87 began in January 2013. It's a photograph of the flow of traffic improving in Spring Lake. After 4 years of orange cones, construction signs, and road crews, work on the main artery through town is almost complete. We're wrapping up, Randy Wise, a construction engineer with the State Department of Transportation, said last week. I know folks are glad it's done. Work on a $32.3 million project to improve traffic flow on NC 87 through Spring Lake began in January 2013. The project also was meant to ease traffic between Fort Bragg and Harnett County, where many of the installation's soldiers and civilian workers live. About 66,000 vehicles a day pass through the town of more than 13,000 people. The construction has been a nagging headache for Spring Lake residents and those who must travel through the town. The final phase of the project essentially was completed several months ago, Wise said. Road crews still have some permanent pavement markings to do, he said, as well as finishing a few of the side streets. Grading around the sidewalks and straightening the easements of some adjoining parking lots also needs to be done. Mayor Chris Ray said he understands that the project has been frustrating for residents, business owners, and motorists. Anytime you're a growing city, it's never comfortable, Ray said. We had our days of being frustrated. You get tired of seeing orange cones up and down the highway. While residents and business owners say they are relieved the work is nearly done, many of those interviewed for this story say they are not happy with the finished results. No one really likes it, said Whitley Davis, 29, and a Spring Lake resident. It feels a lot more inconvenient than it used to. Businesses along the 1.69-mile stretch of NC 87 are now pinched off from the main road by a curb or a fence. Motorists say the reconfiguration of the roadway can be confusing and the traffic can still be congested at times. On a recent Saturday afternoon, Aaron Cruz stared at his cell phone as he sat in a booth at Army City Steak and Gyro. It may have been lunchtime, but business was dead inside the restaurant off the boulevard. We used to have a really good lunch business. We still have loyal customers who come, but it's nothing like it was, said Cruz, the acting manager of the Spring Lake location of the Greek restaurant. Cruz was referring more to the work week when soldiers from the nearby post flocked into town. They would line up from about 11:30 to 1 p.m. to order their food. But during a temporary closure of Fort Bragg's Butner Gate, road crews rerouted the section of Bragg Boulevard to the southern end of Spring Lake. That realigned portion of the boulevard eliminated direct access to the business that operate in the area. During the ongoing road construction, crews estimated that Army City business tapered off by a good 50%. Profits dipped, he said, as soon as they started doing the whole new roadway. A lot of our business was from Fort Bragg. It was real convenient for the soldiers coming out of the gate at Butner Road. Now, he said, it is more inconvenient for customers to reach the business. Cruz 29 said he doesn't anticipate business returning to the levels of pre-2013 before the road work got underway, especially since we don't have the direct road from the Bragg Boulevard, he said. We could see the dollar signs. Our income diminished. The road project was designed to relieve congestion through the Spring Lake area and help fulfill Bragg's desire to close the stretch of Bragg Boulevard that carves through its posts. Doing the widening and reconfiguration did enable us to eliminate some of the lights there, Wise said. It does operate more efficiently. As part of the project, a curb has been installed by the outside northbound lane, slicing off the restaurants in the area. Those include Army City, Burger King, McDonald's, Subway, Arby's, Ruby Tuesdays, and Checkers. Motorists now must exit off the boulevard and get onto Monroe Street, which serves as a service road to those businesses. Because of the long dividing median, the state placed in the highway, southbound drivers must exit and take an overpass bridge over the boulevard before reaching Monroe Street. That is part of the reason we're as busy as we should be. We're not as busy as we should be, Cruz said, peering around Army City's empty dining area. Much of the business community grumbling started with the median's transportation department installed. Control of access is what we did there, Wise said, eliminating all the driveways through the area to relieve the stop and stopping. Direct to side streets is kind of the premise of what we did. By doing that, we were able to eliminate the stoplights. Jermaine Booker, a 29-year-old Army specialist from Spring Lake, was buying gas Tuesday morning at a Marathon convenience store off the boulevard. She had just come off 24 hours of duty at Fort Bragg. When she returned to the area from overseas in December, she recalled it being hard to get to work. Often, she said, she was late. But now that they've opened more lanes up here at the light, she said, referring to the former stoplight at the intersection of NC 87 and NC 210, it's easier. George Valenciaga, 29, has lived in Spring Lake for 3 years. The road work, he said, created delays and heavy traffic. It was hectic, he said. Though he said the overall realignment of the roads seemed a little more difficult, some of the areas are not so bad. For one, he pointed out the portion of the road project that cut off Bragg Boulevard's entry into Fort Bragg from the southern end of Spring Lake. But the part over here by NC 210, where they put all the U-turns, oh my God, he said. Ray said the state lining of NC 87 through Spring Lake as part of the town's natural growth process. We have a growing region. We were part of that growth, he said. It's never easy. The community and some businesses were able to handle it, and some weren't. From an economic standpoint, he cited the setback of losing more than 20 businesses during the 4 years of road work. Those included Baldino's, Wendy's, Country Fish Fry, as well as jewelry store, barbershops, and beauty salons on that stretch of road. Jersey Mike's left a couple of years ago, but has since returned. We're no longer the sleepy town of the north of Fort Bragg. There's a lot of hustle each day, Ray said. I think it provides an opportunity for Spring Lake. We can be very comfortable. Part of leadership is stepping out of comfortable and seizing new opportunity. We have a greater number of cars coming through our community now. We need to be innovative on how we make those cars stop. Wise, the DOT engineer, said he has heard the complaints from the Spring Lake business community. Once all of the construction barrels are removed, he's hoping that things will return somewhat to normal. Business at the Advanced Auto Parts store appears to already have rebounded. Manager Jonathan Ferguson says things picked up over the last month or two. The biggest thing for the customers, the hardest thing, is coming in, he said. Now they're getting used to it. People are figuring out how to deal with it. Staff writer Michael Futch can be reached at mfutch@fayobserver.com or 486-3529.
Man shot during robbery, Lumberton. Police are looking for 2 men who they say shot a man during a robbery on Saturday night in the Davis Heights community. Marcus Leach was shot inside a residence on the 2200 block of Hedgepeth Circle around 7:20 p.m., police said in a news release. Leach's girlfriend was with him at the time. Leach was driven by a private vehicle to Southeastern Regional Medical Center. His injury does not appear to be life-threatening, police said. Police said 2 men were involved in the robbery, but no other information was immediately available. Anyone with information concerning the robbery and shooting was asked to call Detective Charles Keenum at the Lumberton Police Department at area code 910-671-3845.
Stream debris grant on county agenda. Cumberland County Commissioners are expected to discuss Monday a $1.22 million state grant to pay for removing debris from streams that was left when Hurricane Matthew hit the area last year. The commissioners are scheduled to vote on a $5,000 match that is required to get the grant from the State Department of Agriculture's Soil and Water Conservation Division. The funds will be used to clear debris from parts of the South River, Sandy Creek, and Locks Creek, according to county records. Money previously received by the county from the Golden Leaf Foundation will be used to remove debris in the Rockfish and Little Rockfish Creeks, records show. The grant money can only be used to remove debris from the active channels of the river and creeks. If money becomes available later, the county will consider clearing debris from river and creek banks. In other action, at the commissioners' meeting, a public hearing will be held on a $152 million bond that the Cape Fear Valley Health System will use to refinance older bonds. Tim Kinlaw, interim superintendent of the Cumberland County Schools, is scheduled to give a presentation on the school's sustainability report. Commissioners also are scheduled to consider a $2.7 million in parks and recreation project and meet in closed session to discuss a legal matter. The meeting is at 9 a.m. in room 118 of the courthouse. Staff writer Steve Devane can be reached at sdevane@fayobserver.com or 486-3572.
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our address is P.O. Box 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call area code 910-672-1600 or toll free at 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Beverlyn Simonet
and Robert Bean, and we are proud to serve you today. Ryan. Health Mandate, part of GOP Tax Talks by Kevin Frecken, The Associated Press, Washington. House Speaker Paul Ryan says Republicans are discussing whether their tax plan should include a repeal of the Obama health law's requirement that people have insurance coverage or face a penalty. It would be another shot at further undermining the Affordable Care Act after repeated failures by the GOP-led Congress to repeal and replace the law, as President Donald Trump has demanded. The Congressional Budget Office has estimated that repealing the individual mandate, as the requirement is known, would save $416 billion over a decade. The mandate provides a powerful incentive for people to get coverage before health problems arise. But the money represents a tempting revenue source for GOP tax writers whose tax plan would add an estimated $1.5 trillion over 10 years to the national debt. Ryan told Fox News Sunday that a lot of members are suggesting that the tax plan repeal the mandate. He did not weigh in personally on how to deal with the coverage mandate. Representative Mark Meadows, the chairman of the House Freedom Caucus, said on ABC's This Week that revenue counted through the repeal could in turn be used to soften the blow from the expiration of various tax credits and elimination of the deduction for state income and sales taxes. We're advocating on behalf of that, said Meadows, a Republican from North Carolina. The House and Means Committee planned to begin taking up the bill today. Some Republican lawmakers from New York and New Jersey have come out against the bill in its current form, saying that ending deductions for state and local sales and income taxes would hit their constituents the hardest. Republicans talking up the tax bill on the Sunday shows played down concerns that the bill would add substantially to the nation's debt. It's projected to increase the debt by $1.5 trillion over 10 years. Preliminary numbers really look very good in terms of economic growth. So over a longer period of time, some 10 to 15 years, we believe that economic growth will outweigh any short-term deficit increase that we see, Meadows said. These so-called budget hawks have turned into an extinct, endangered species, said House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi of California during an appearance on CNN's State of the Union.
The letter to the Observer. The Kaepernick phenomenon has resulted in what Coach Lou Holtz described as bad choices, pitting protester versus protester, the NFL players versus the NFL fans. Fans have not protested like this since the Major League Baseball strike 22 years ago. For anybody over the age of 40, achieving social justice has been a lifelong struggle. Our children were denied admission to college, seniority, promotions denied, and a host of other social injustices we believed affirmative action would rectify. What began as a protest for social justice has now morphed as a Black Lives Matter protest against white supremacy. With the exception of Chicago and Baltimore, where heroin addiction rages and fear grips the streets, Black lives have mattered since Brown versus Board of Education. Watching Jackie Robinson transform the playing field into a colorblind arena 25 years before the Civil Rights Act of 1963 was a giant step toward racial harmony. The irony of using the playing field to achieve social justice and protest white supremacy was a reminder of how futile our efforts have been. Equally ironic is the realization that affirmative action has been a colossal failure to stroke the silent bigotry of white supremacists. Joe Exel of Snow Hill. We welcome letters. Please write about the current topics of general interest. Letters will be edited and cannot exceed 250 words. Include your name, street address, and daytime phone. Your name and hometown will be published. No poetry, open or anonymous letters. We encourage civility. 4 weeks must elapse between letters from the same writer. Letters must be original by the person who signs the letter and exclusive to this newspaper. Write to editorial page editor, the Fayetteville Observer, P.O. Box 849, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28302. Email eletters@fayeobserver.com.
Commerce Chief Putin firm linked by Bernard Condon, The Associated Press, New York. Newly leaked documents show that Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, the Trump administration's point man on trade and manufacturing policy, has a stake in a company that does business with a gas producer partly owned by the son-in-law of Russian President Vladimir Putin. According to records obtained by the International Consortium of Journalists, Ross is an investor in Navigator Holdings, a shipping giant that counts Russian gas and petrochemical producer Cyber among its major customers. Putin's son-in-law, Kirill Shamalov, once owned more than 20% of the company, but now holds a much smaller stake. Commerce Department spokesman James Rackus said Ross never met Shamalov and has generally supported the Trump administration's sanctions against Russia, according to the ICIJ report. Rackus added that Ross has withdrawn from matters related to transoceanic shipping vessels and has met the highest ethical standards. The details are likely to add to the questions about ties between Russia and the Trump administration, connections that for months have shadowed the White House and are a focus of an investigation by Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Yet it wasn't immediately clear how many partners Ross might have or what the profit-sharing agreement might be. ICIJ disclosed the Ross holding as part of reporting on 13.4 million records of offshore entities and tax havens leaked to German newspaper Süddeutsche Zeitung. The newspaper then shared the records with ICIJ and a network of more than 380 journalists in 67 countries. It wasn't immediately clear exactly how much of Navigator, which is publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange, Ross personally owns. ICIJ reported that Ross and other investors own 4 Cayman Island entities that in turn own 31.5% of Navigator, a stake worth $176 million at Friday's closing stock price. Ross's stake in Navigator is likely a small fraction of that. In financial disclosure forms he filed with the government this year, Ross valued his holdings in the Cayman Islands entities, which include other companies besides Navigator, at no more than $10.1 million. Cyber contributed 8% to Navigator's revenue last year, according to reports filed with securities regulators. Russia's energy sector is largely controlled by individuals with ties to state actors, including Putin. In the case of Ross, the ICIJ reported Navigator's Russian customer, Cyber, has ties to Putin in addition to his son-in-law. A big shareholder is Gennady Timchenko, who was targeted by the U.S. and other Western nations for sanctions after Russia's invasion of the Ukrainian region of Crimea in 2014. A few months later, the U.S. barred banks from providing long-term financing to a gas company belonging to another large cyber shareholder, Leonid Mikhelson. Mikhelson has also been sanctioned by the Treasury Department for propping up Putin's rule. Cyber itself was not targeted by the U.S. sanctions, but the Bank of America and the Royal Bank of Scotland reportedly backed away from doing business with the company. The Russian gas producer last year contributed $23 million to Navigator's revenue, an increase of more than 40% in 2 years.
Cumberland Matters by John Soule. School kids can enter conservation contests. The Cumberland Soil and Water Conservation District invites elementary, middle, and high school students in the county to participate in the annual poster, essay, and public speaking contest. The theme for this year's contest is Water, the Cycle of Life. And the deadline to enter is January 20th. Sixth graders may enter essay and computer design slideshow contest. Third through sixth graders may enter the poster contest. Seventh through eighth graders may enter the public speaking contest, and freshmen may enter the computer design poster contest. The contest is an opportunity to learn about the importance of conserving and protecting topsoil and our waterways and groundwater. All participants will receive a ribbon. First place winners will receive a gift card for $50 and a certificate. Second place winners will receive a gift card for $30 and a certificate. And third place winners will receive a $20 gift card and a certificate. Local contest winners will advance to Soil and Water Area 7th competition, which will include Cumberland, Bladen, Columbus, Harnett, Hope, Richmond, Robeson, Sampson, Scott, and Scotland counties. For complete contest rules and requirements, go online to ncagr.gov/SWC/educational/ and click on the Educational Contests and Awards tab to contact Cumberland Soil and Water District Administrative Officer Donna Foster at 484-8479. Option 3. Or email dfoster@co.cumberland.nc.us. The office is in the Agriculture Center located at 301 East Mountain Drive. Guard against the flu. The NC Department of Health and Human Services is encouraging residents to get flu shots following the influenza-related deaths of 2 adults in October. The Cumberland County Department of Public Health offers flu shots to children and adults at the Immunizations Clinic located at 1235 Ramsey Street during regular clinic hours. Free flu shots are available to uninsured children 6 months to 18 years old. Individuals with insurance may receive a flu shot at little or no out-of-pocket costs if they have Medicare, Medicaid, North Carolina Health Choice, TRICARE Standard, or Blue Cross Blue Shield. The Immunizations Clinic is open Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every second and fourth Tuesday until 7 p.m. and Fridays from 8 to noon. Friday afternoon service is limited and available by appointment only. Patients arriving late in the day should report to the immunization clinic at least 30 minutes before closing time to allow time for registration. For more information, call the immunization clinic at 433-3633 or 433-3657. In addition to flu shots, you can cut down the risk of getting sick or infecting others by frequent hand washing, staying home when you are sick, and cleaning surfaces that could be contaminated. Cumberland update. Tuesday is election day. The polls will be open from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. For more information, go to cumberland.nc.us/elections or call 678-7733. On Friday, county offices in observance of Veterans Day will be closed. I repeat, on Friday, county offices will be closed in observance of Veterans Day. On November 13th, Better Living Series, Marmalade for the Holidays registration deadline. Learn through hands-on techniques how to prepare and process marmalade. The class is November 16th from 9 a.m. to noon. To register, call 321-6405. John Souls is the Public Information Specialist for Cumberland County Government. You can reach him at 321-6579 or jsouls@co.cumberland.nc.us.
Militant stormed security center in Yemen, killing 17 by Ahmad al-Hajj, the Associated Press, Sana'a, Yemen. Masked militants set off a large car bomb outside a security headquarters in Yemen's southern port city of Aden early Sunday, killing at least 17 people before storming the compound, officials said, sparking combat that continued well into the night. Speaking on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to brief reporters, the security officials said the militants placed snipers on the roof and gunned down most of the security forces inside. The officials gave conflicting accounts of what happened next inside the building. They initially said that the militants had taken an unknown number of people hostage. Later, they said that they opened cell gates and released prisoners. Security forces backed by an Apache helicopter continued to fight for control of the installation after nightfall, chasing down militants in the surrounding structures and neighborhood. Some hostages were killed, they added, without providing specific figures. They said at least 5 soldiers were among the dead. Witnesses said at least 4 militant snipers could be seen on the roof of the compound. They also described mayhem as dead bodies littering the compound's front courtyard couldn't be retrieved because of the continuous sniper fire. Shalal al-Shayi, the security chief, was not inside the compound at the time of the attack, the officials said. In an online statement, the local affiliate of the Islamic State group claimed responsibility for the attack, saying they killed 50 soldiers and identified the bomber as Abu Atman al-Hadrami. A Saudi-led coalition, meanwhile, launched a wave of airstrikes, starting overnight and continuing until noon the next day, on the rebel-held capital, Sana'a, apparently in response to a ballistic missile fired by the rebels toward an international airport on the outskirts of Riyadh, the Saudi capital. Saudi Arabia said it shot down the missile before it hit its target, with fragments landing in an uninhabited area north of the capital. U.S. President Donald Trump was quick to blame Iran. A shot was just taken by Iran, in my opinion, at Saudi Arabia. Our system knocked it down, Trump said, referring to the Patriot missile batteries Saudi Arabia purchased from the U.S.
Public safety report for Cumberland County. Arrest. Caldero Juan Gonzalez, 36, of the 900 block of Patrick Drive, was charged Saturday with drug possession. Bail was set at $1,000. Timothy Wayne Francis, 26, of the 3400 block of Gainey Road, was charged Saturday with drug possession. His bail was set at $5,000. Robberies in Tryon Drive, the 1800 block, reported at 1:09 a.m. Monday. And jury reported taken from 21-year-old man. Identity Lane, the 5000 block, reported 1:53 a.m. Sunday. Wallet, money, and cards reported taken from a 20-year-old man.
Opinion, the Observer's editorial. Climate report and oddity for Trump admin. Findings from a major study on climate change were released Friday afternoon. It looked at whether human beings were the main drivers of climate change. The report concluded there was no convincing alternative to human causes. Certainly nothing new that climate scientists are well convinced that mankind is behind a steady, worldwide warming trend. But the source of the study surprised people: the Trump administration. Before anyone thinks the administration fell and bumped its head, consider this. The report, which flies in the face of everything Trump and his team have implied, said, or done about climate change, was a release of the National Climate Assessment. A report is required by law to be produced every 4 years. To the administration's credit, it released the findings on Friday without comment, fanfare, immediate criticism, or pushback. In addition, the White House Office of Science and Technology signed off on the report. It remains to be seen what the administration's next steps will be. Meanwhile, the report's stark findings have been described in media outlets as dire. The report says sea levels could rise 8 feet by 2100, lays out a number of consequences for the United States, a general acceleration of troubling climate trends we have already seen thanks to an uptick in warming since 1900. Americans are noticing changes all around them, the report says. Summers are longer and hotter, and extended periods of unusual heat last longer than any living American has ever experienced. Winters are generally shorter and warmer. Rain comes in heavier downpours. People are seeing changes in the length and severity of seasonal allergies, the plant varieties that thrive in their gardens, and the kinds of birds they see in any particular month in their neighborhoods. Later in the report, while scientists continue to refine projections of the future, observations unequivocally show that climate is changing and that warming of the past 50 years is primarily due to human-induced emissions of heat-trapping gases. These emissions come mainly from burning coal, oil, and gas, with additional contributions from forest clearing and some agricultural practices. The report offers no specific recommendations to tackle the problem, but as it happens, the world has. Nearly the entire world has signed on to the 2015 Paris Agreement to reduce emissions and take other steps with the exception of 2 nations, the United States and Nicaragua. Trump has announced his intention to formally pull the U.S. out of the accords and his highest profile statement yet of where he stands on climate change. He said his goal was to negotiate a deal that was more fair to the United States. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is pressing on, with 195 countries scheduled to meet next week in Germany. Scientists, government officials, industry officials, and environmentalists will gather for the conference presided over by Fiji, one of the countries most imperiled by rising seas. Some negotiators told ABC News that striking a broad agreement on specific steps that go beyond the Paris Accord will be tough without the United States as a player. Others say that China, India, and the European Union are the new dominant players. If Trump's actions stateside are any indicator, we shouldn't expect any change in course by the United States. Scott Pruitt, head of the Environmental Protection Agency, is deeply skeptical of climate change. The EPA recently pulled its scientists from speaking at a conference in Rhode Island that included a discussion of climate change. It's a high-profile move that many say puts a chill on unfettered research by government scientists. The EPA also has changed its website, scrubbing some data and research on climate change that, according to the Washington Post, had been on the site for years. So this latest report from the National Climate Assessment stands as a curio in the current political climate, if you will. One expert called it the most comprehensive climate science report in the world right now. If it will inspire any action by the country from which it came remains to be seen.
Trump to try puts a face on menace. After easing into his Asian debut with golf and a taste of home, President Donald Trump is trying to put a human face on North Korea's menace. Hearing from anguished families of Japanese citizens snatched by Pyongyang's agents. Trump's meeting today promises to elevate these heart-wrenching tales of loss to the international stage as he hopes to pressure North Korea to end its provocative behavior towards American allies in the region. North Korea has acknowledged apprehending 13 Japanese in the 1970s and 1980s, but claims all those captives have died or been released. But in Japan, where grieving relatives of the abducted have been a symbol of heartbreak on the scale of American POW families. The government insists nearly 50 people were taken and believes some may be alive. Trump has delivered harsh denunciations of the renegade North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, belittling him as a little rocket man and threatening to rain fire and fury on his country if the belligerence continues. But Trump also has begun highlighting the plight of the North Koreans. I think they're great people. They're industrious. They're warm, much warmer than the world really knows or understands. Trump told reporters on Air Force One while flying to Japan on Sunday, and I hope it all works out for everybody. Also on the agenda during Trump's second day in Asia, an audience with Emperor Akihito, a sit-down with Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, and a state dinner. North Korea is a critical issue looming over Trump's 12-day five-country trip that will include direct talks with Trump's Chinese and Russian counterparts. In Washington, a new analyst emerged from the Pentagon saying that a ground invasion of North Korea is the only way to locate and destroy with complete certainty all components of Kim's nuclear weapons program. It is the most bleak assessment, said U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein, a member of the State Intelligence Committee. Two members of the U.S. Congress, in a letter to the Pentagon, had asked about casualty assessments in a possible conflict with North Korea. A Rear Admiral on the Joint Staff responded on behalf of the Defense Department and said the amount of casualties would differ depending on the advance warning and the ability of U.S. and South Korea forces to counter North Korean attacks.
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our address is P.O. Box 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. It's P.O. Box 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please give us a call at area code 910-672-1600 or toll free at 1-844-709-5656. Once again, those numbers are area code 910-672-1600 or toll free at 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are
Beverlyn Simonette
and Robert Bean, and we are proud to serve you today. We are coming up on the top of the hour, and it is time for the obituaries. And this is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. Death notices. The following deaths have been reported. Upcoming editions of the Fayetteville Observer will contain complete obituary information. Cumberland County, Thomas Philip Coyne, Sr., 82, of Fayetteville, Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home. Justin C. Shackelford, 35, of Hope Mills, Lafayette Funeral Home. Jackie Cooper Hawley, 89, of Fayetteville, Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. Mary Ann Marler, 77 of Hope Mills, Adcock Funeral Home and Crematory. Julia Ann Skipper, 28 of Fayetteville, Lafayette Funeral Home. Johnny Dockery, 80 of Fayetteville, Wiseman Mortuary. David Clay Sr. of Fayetteville, Wiseman Mortuary. In the Cape Fear region, Ezekiel Roseborough, 61 of Chadburn, S&L Funeral Home, Fair and Bluff. In Cumberland County, it is great sadness that the family of Beulah Frances Travis announces her passing at the age of 68 years old on Friday, November 3rd, 2017, at Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. She was a resident of Stedman. Visitation is Monday, November 6, 2017, from 6 to 8 p.m. Funeral services will be held at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, November 7, 2017, at Rogers and Brees Funeral Home, 500 Ramsey Street, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28301, with Pastor Jeff Burkhart officiating. Burial will be at Lafayette Memorial at 2301 Ramsey Street. A reception will follow the burial. Services are entrusted to Rogers and Brees Funeral Home. Robert Bob Gorman Sr., 71 of Hope Mills, died Saturday, November 4th, 2017. Funeral will be held Thursday at 2 p.m. at Westminster Presbyterian Church. A visitation will be at Southview High School Auditorium Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Services entrusted to Pinecrest Funeral and Cremation Services of Hope Mills. Leslie M. Johnson, 93 of Fayetteville, died Friday, November 3rd, 2017. The funeral will be held Wednesday at 11 a.m. at Smith Chapel Free Will Baptist Church. The viewing will be at Wiseman Mortuary Tuesday from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. and the burial will be at Northside Cemetery. Services entrusted to Wiseman Mortuary. Teresa McCrae, 57 of Fayetteville, died Thursday, November 2nd, 2017. Funeral will be held Tuesday at noon at McFatter Funeral Home. The burial will be at Hillside Memorial Park in Laurinburg. Services entrusted to McFatter Funeral Home of Laurel Hill. Florence McLaurin Fowler, 89 of Fayetteville, died Saturday, November 4th, 2017. The funeral will be held Thursday at 3 p.m. at Rogers and Brees Chapel. Services entrusted to Rogers and Brees Funeral Home. Region and elsewhere, Mrs. Gladys Polly Johnson Clark of Rayford passed away on November 5th, 2017 in Open Arms Retirement Home at the age of 89. The family will receive friends on Wednesday, November 8th, 2017 at Crumpler Funeral Home Chapel in Rayford from 1 p.m. to 1:45 p.m. Funeral services will begin at 2 p.m. following the visitation. Burial will be in the Rayford Cemetery. In lieu of flowers, memorials may be made to Alzheimer's Association of Eastern North Carolina Chapter, 3739 National Drive, Suite 110, Raleigh, North Carolina, 27612. Cora Mae Blue, 69 of Dunn, died Thursday, November 2nd, 2017. The funeral will be held Thursday at 1 p.m. at Cape Fear Conference A headquarters in Irwin. The viewing will be at Dafford Funeral Home of Dunn Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The burial will be at W.B. Lindsay Cemetery of Godwin. Services entrusted to Dafford Funeral Home of Dunn. Dorothy Cashwell Jackson, 85 of St. Paul's, died Saturday, November 4th, 2017. The memorial will be held Wednesday at noon at McNeil Mackey Funeral Home of St. Paul's. The visitation will be at McNeil Mackey Funeral Home of St. Paul's Wednesday from 11 a.m. to noon. Services entrusted to McNeil Mackey Funeral Home of St. Paul's. Juanita Batten Miner, 69 of Lumberton, died Friday, November 3rd, 2017. A graveside service will be held Wednesday at 11 a.m. at Mount Zion Baptist Church Cemetery. The visitation will be at Floyd Mortuary and Crematory Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Services entrusted to Floyd Mortuary and Crematory. Larry Edwin Guyton, 65 of Bladenboro, died Saturday, November 4th, 2017. The Funeral will be held Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. at Pleasant Grove Church. The visitation will be at Pleasant Grove Church Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. The burial will be at Community Baptist Church Cemetery, and services are entrusted to Bladen Gaskins Funeral Home. Joseph Odell Jackson, 83 of Dunn, died Saturday, November 4th, 2017. The funeral will be held Tuesday at 11 a.m. at Glad Tidings Church. The visitation will be at Skinner and Smith Funeral Home Monday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The burial will be at Memorial Cemetery. Services entrusted to Skinner and Smith Funeral Home. Maxine H. Broadwell, 88 of Fuquay Varina, died Friday, November 3rd, 2017. The funeral will be held Tuesday at 2 p.m. at Baptist Grove Baptist Church. The visitation will be at Baptist Grove Baptist Church Tuesday from 1 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Burial will be at Green Lawn Cemetery. Services are entrusted to Quinn Peebles Phillips Funeral Home and Crematory. James Dwight Smith, 66 of Clinton, died Friday, November 3rd, 2017. The funeral will be held Monday at 2 p.m. at Mary's Chapel Baptist Church. Visitation will be at Crumpler Honeycutt Funeral Home Sunday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The burial will be at Hillcrest Cemetery of Newton Grove. Services entrusted to Crumpler Honeycutt Funeral Home. Mickey Vernon Oxendine of Pembroke died Saturday, November 4th, 2017. Funeral will be held Monday at 3 p.m. at White Hill Free Will Baptist Church. The visitation will be at White Hill Free Will Baptist Church Monday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And the burial will be at New Prospect Holiness Methodist Church Cemetery. Services entrusted to Rebels Funeral Home of Pembroke. And Clara Hilda Price, 90 of Irwin, died Friday, November 3rd, 2017. Funeral will be held Tuesday at 11 a.m. at West and Dunn Funeral Home Chapel of Irwin. Visitation will be at West and Dunn Funeral Home of Irwin Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. The burial will be at Irwin Memorial Park. Services entrusted to West and Dunn Funeral Home. That concludes today's obituaries.
Dear Abby, new carpet provokes old complaints from husband. Dear Abby, I've been married for 45 years. My husband and I get along fine. We each have our little quirks, but after all these years, we are used to each other. There's just one thing that really bugs me about him. When repairs need to be done outside the house, we have it done. New roof, new siding, driveway paved, even solar panels. We have also done some work inside, such as remodeling the kitchen and bathroom. 12 years after moving into our home, I finally insisted that it be repainted on the inside. My husband griped about it nonstop. I told him he didn't have to do the painting. We would hire someone to do the job. He did have to help me move the furniture. Well, now it's time to replace the carpet. It's original. It's 30 years old, stained and worn out. Again, he's griping and complaining. It drives a wedge between us. Money isn't the issue. He says I'm always bothering him with one thing after another. Is it asking too much to have these things done inside my home after so many years? Nagging wife. Dear wife, I don't think so. Nothing lasts forever, and that includes carpet. Make a deal with him. You will hire someone to move the furniture this time if he will stop complaining. The disruption will be over in a few days, and the interior of your home will look fresher and newer once the carpet is history. Dear Abby, I have a problem I don't think you have ever addressed. Both of my testicles have been removed. Fortunately, they were not cancerous. It doesn't bother my wife, which is a blessing. Most support groups are for cancer survivors. I'm wondering if you know of any groups for men like me. Some days I still can't cope with it because this is part of being a man. Any suggestions? Trying to cope in Oklahoma. Dear trying to cope. The doctor who saw you through the procedure may be able to refer you to a group or a therapist who can help you with your adjustment. If you haven't already contacted the physician, it would be a good place to start. Although most members of support groups are probably cancer survivors, you still have much in common. So keep an open mind before dismissing the idea entirely. Dear Abby, what is the appropriate response when I get an invitation to go somewhere and I must decline because I can't afford it or don't want to pay for it? I'm trying to cut my expenses and I'm embarrassed that I can't afford any new expenses. I appreciate the invitations and sometimes if it's worth it to me, I will accept. I don't want to lie when I really want to say, this expense isn't worth it to me. What can I say that won't hurt anyone's feelings and won't get me caught in a lie? Don't want to lie. Dear, don't want to lie. It isn't shameful to admit to someone that money is tight and you have to cut expenses, so you can't attend an event. It's something that everyone should be able to identify with. However, you should refrain from saying the expense isn't worth it to you because it comes across as judgmental and the person may take offense. Readers can write to Dear Abby at dearabby.com.
Billy Graham, don't make a hasty decision when it comes to reconnecting with those who have wronged you. L. McS. writes, I divorced my abusive husband after he got in trouble and ended up in prison, and I told him I never wanted to see him again. Now he claims he's found God and says he wants to restart our relationship when he gets out in a few months. How do I know he isn't just faking it? Answer. You're wise to be cautious. Not everyone who claims to be a follower of Jesus is actually committed to him. 11 of Jesus' closest disciples truly believed in him, but one, Judas, was only interested in himself and later betrayed Jesus. Don't misunderstand me, however. Christ is able to change even the most stubborn person, and this may well be the case with your ex-husband. Sometimes people have to reach bottom, so to speak, before they'll admit they need God. And when they turn in faith to Christ and open their hearts and lives to Him, He welcomes them and forgives them and begins to change them. Remember, God is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20. I often think of the Apostle Paul in this regard. He was violently opposed to Christ and did everything he could to destroy his followers. As a result, when Paul gave his life to Christ, almost no one believed him and they rejected him. Only later, when they saw that his life truly had changed, that they welcomed him. What should you do? Pray for your ex-husband, that he'll get connected with Christians who can help him. Pray, too, that God will give you wisdom. Don't be talked into any hasty decisions, however. Take time to see if he is truly seeking to follow Christ. Jesus said, by their fruit you will recognize them. Matthew chapter 7, verse 20. Readers can write to the Reverend Billy Graham at the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, 1 Billy Graham Parkway, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28201, or call 877-2-GRAHAM. The website for the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association is at billygraham.org.
Today's horoscope by Stella Wilder. If you were born today, you are a trusting soul. For the reason that you are so trustworthy, you are also one of those rare individuals who is considered by most to be good to the core. And for this reason, you're not likely to see the worst in others, but rather the best. Scorpio, October 23rd through November 21st. You may require an expert opinion before the day is out, but that doesn't mean you have to follow his or her advice. Sagittarius, November 22nd through December 21st. Progress can be made in an unusual way today, but don't expect to be speedy. You have much to account for when all is said and done. Capricorn, December 22nd through January 19th. Sitting across from the one you love, you'll realize that you have so much that you've always wanted. What you don't have, you don't need. Aquarius, January 20th through February 18th. You may be separated from someone who loves you and inspires you, which is more important right now. And how do you compensate for it? Pisces, February 19th through March 20th. Avoid talk that doesn't go anywhere today. Communication about those things that are underway is certainly required. Aries, March 21st through April 19th. Give yourself something you want today, and you'll be ready to face a difficult situation tomorrow. You needn't always deny yourself. Taurus, April 20th through May 20th. It may take you longer than usual to muster up a few simple, usable ideas today, but once you do, you'll be able to pick up the pace. Gemini, May 21st through June 20th. What goes on all around you today is worth noting, but you don't have to pay attention to every detail. You've got other things on your mind. Cancer, June 21st through July 22nd. You'll be inspired by some unusual things today and by some mundane. Someone is ready to reveal a new opportunity. Leo, July 23rd through August 22nd. Even the simple things will take time today, and you must be willing to devote whatever it takes to reach the goals you've set for yourself. Virgo, August 23rd through September 22nd. You can capitalize on another's errors, but when the time comes, you'll also want to share your winnings with that very person. Libra, September 23rd through October 22nd. You may feel that you've been in someone else's shadow long enough, but you're not sure what to do about it. A sign points the way today.
A True Attribute of Leadership, Listening by Abdul Rashid. Can you think of groups in public life that are categorized as cut from the same cloth that can't seem to move forward together? Why is that? Even in groups that seem to be a collection of like-minded people, why is leadership or even general consensus difficult? And doesn't seeing inertia in a group of like-minded people make working across our other differences seem that much more difficult, if not insurmountable? This is not a cause for despair, but it may be a challenge to our usual thoughts about leading groups to a common goal. Tools exist that we can use to better understand each other. Once we understand each other, even if we still don't agree, it is much easier to move forward together. One of those tools is listening. Former UNC System President Bill Friday was not a fiery orator, but when he spoke, people listened. Even after he retired as the UNC System President and a later role leading the William R. Keenan Jr. Charitable Trust, people sought him out for continued guidance and leadership. Why? His structural power and authority were gone. New people were now in roles he previously held. It was because he continued to listen and be a lifelong learner that people continued to look to him as a leader. The Harvard Business Review recently published a column called "Good Leaders Are Good Learners," affirming much of the leadership development premise of the William C. Friday Fellowship for Human Relations. Continued learning for leaders means that leadership is not just a skill you learn once and simply apply to the next task. Leadership is actually a continued practice. Consider it this way. You become a better golfer by practicing a skill like putting. Similarly, you become a better leader by practicing a skill like listening. To get it right, you wouldn't just practice putting once, so you wouldn't just practice listening once. Skills are honed over time. Bill Friday's lifetime of experience wasn't the definitive item that made him a great leader. It was the fact that he listened and continued to learn throughout his entire lifetime that helped him move forward together with others, both early and later in life. We can follow Bill Friday's example of being a lifelong learner. We can practice listening so we better understand each other. We can work better with each other in our like-minded groups and work better with each other across our differences. It's not really so hard at all. We just need a little practice. Abdul Rashid is Executive Director of Wild Acres Leadership Initiative, which houses the William C. Friday Fellowship for Human Relations.
Kim Hasty writes, Mailman had a friendly word for everyone. Neither snow nor rain, a heavy load of cards and letters could ever stop Ricky Lee Armwood from his appointed rounds or from taking the time for a friendly word or a caring gesture. He was a proud U.S. mail carrier and a busy one, but his smile came easily, and those who knew him won't forget. He has always been so sweet to us, said Clara Hedgecoe. For her 3 sons, like other youngsters, the mailman's daily visit was always a treat. He'd always wave and smile and ask about the boys playing sports. Her heart sank last week when she saw the overturned carrier truck near the entrance of her neighborhood off Morganton Road. Armwood, 58, was killed when a sports utility vehicle slammed into the back of his stopped truck on the afternoon of October 31st. In Roseboro, Armwood's wife, Janice, and 3 adult sons mourned the loss of a man who always wanted the best for his family. He had it rough growing up, said his oldest son, Ricky Armwood Jr. He always wanted better for us. Armwood said his dad was a standout football player who had a scholarship offer from Auburn, but shrewd that opportunity to instead stay closer to home and attend Elizabeth City College. He left college to enlist in the Army, eventually retiring after a career that included a deployment to Benicia. He had been with the U.S. Postal Service for 20 years. Those who knew him as their mailman also are mourning. It was only a few weeks ago that I sat outside with him having a chat about race cars, said Rob Friol, a resident of one of the Morganton Road neighborhoods on Armwood's route. He saw me loading mine onto a trailer and wanted to hear all about my hobby. He was such a friendly man, always smiling and positive. No matter the time of day, Thoreau said, I know he will be sorely missed, not just by us, but by the many residents and neighborhoods he visited every day. Armwood also delivered mail to some of the businesses along Morganton Road. He had a good sense of humor, said Karen Shattuck, who works at Classic Coffer's Hair Salon. He never failed to stop and say hello. Hedgecoe said her youngest son Ryan, now 7, would wait for Armwood to pull up, then drive a toy motorized truck to meet the mailman and collect the mail. When Armwood realized 8-year-old son Hunter Hedgecoe was having a birthday, he gave him $5. Hunter wrote him a thank you note and left it in the mailbox. Clara Hedgecoe said, we loved him. For others, it was a chance to stop and think about those men and women who are so reliable on those daily rounds that mean so much. Pat Howell made a special media post last week suggesting that her neighbors who live in the 28303 zip code leave a note of appreciation and condolence for their own mail carrier, many of whom likely were co-workers of Armwood's. I just thought how sad that he was out there doing his job and his life was taken, Howell said. they've all got to be mourning the loss of their co-worker, like they would a family member. Kim Hastings can be reached at khastings@fayobserver.com or at 486-3591.
Elimination from the Kozel-Osborne Divide by Farrell Guillory. David Osborne and Jonathan Kozel are public thinkers worth listening to, even if one does not wholly agree with them. Both have written books on American schooling, and they discuss their education research in separate visits this month to the Triangle for lectures that offer fascinating contrast in style and method. Kozel, who spoke recently at Duke University, is a legendary 81-year-old who spent half a century studying and writing a stream of books about children and teachers in racially segregated, economically distressed neighborhood public schools. His approach is to examine conditions and identify issues by immersing himself in schoolhouses. Sounding akin to the Old Testament prophets who railed at rulers and their people had gone astray, Kozel invades against the savage inequalities, the title of one of his books, between affluent and poor school districts. Why do deep disparities persist? To me, he said, the biggest problem is the quiet equanimity of decent people. For his part, Osborne, who appeared at North Carolina State University at a gathering sponsored by Education NC, just published a book, Reinventing America's Schools, in the same vein as his influential 1992 book, Reinventing Government. Osborne examines school systems and communities in search of ways to reform the public sector, which he finds too bureaucratic, hierarchical, and centralized. A century ago, he writes, the creation of standardized, unified school systems with monopolies on free schooling had a dramatic impact on this country, helping us build the most powerful, innovative economy on earth. In the 21st century, the emergence of a new model, decentralized, competitive, customer-driven, mission-driven, and performance-based with steering separated from rowing, could have an equally profound effect. Had they appeared jointly, no doubt their clashing views on charter schools would have dominated the encounter. Kozel treated charter schools with sarcasm and described as dangerous phenomenon the spread of charters and tax-financed vouchers to private schools. Osborne has embraced charter schools as vehicles for reinventing public education because, he said, we need different kinds of schools for different kinds of kids. But it is far too simplistic to characterize them as pro-charter Osborne versus anti-charter Kozel. Their separate presentations did not delve too deeply into North Carolina education policy, but each in his own way raised questions about the school choice agenda pursued by the General Assembly over the past 6 years. For example, Osborne joins with Kozel in opposing vouchers. Inevitably, said Osborne, vouchers would segment the marketplace and lead to unequal opportunity. Kozel conceded that there are some good charter schools, but he appeared especially worried about the rise in schools run by for-profit companies that would make a pile of money on the backs of school children. Osborne would not rule out for-profit charters, but appeared wary, having written that too many have siphoned public dollars into private hands at the expense of the children. Osborne prefers to talk about public charter schools. His view is expressed in his book and his lecture in the form of an interview by his daughter Molly, a policy analyst for Education NC and a former Teach for America teacher in New Orleans, is that public school authorities should steer in setting general policy, while each school should row in delivering dynamic instruction. Different approaches also emerge in discussing teachers and the school environment. Osborne favors aggressive action to close schools and to dismiss teachers not meeting performance standards, and he says that parents picking warm and nurturing schools without regard to academic prowess cheats the children. Kozel described the battering ram of standardized testing that squashes happiness out of schooling, and he said that teachers don't receive the honor they deserve, never did, even less so today. For North Carolina lawmakers and education policy makers, Kozel and Osborne provide provocative yet different perspectives for the state's great debate over public education. Each in his own way challenge preconceived notions and central elements of our current budgeting and policy. The debate needs Kozel's passion for lifting up children in distressed schools and Osborne's pragmatic quest for effective, sustained educational reform. Farrell Guillory is the director of the Program on Public Life professor of the practice at the UNC School of Media and Journalism, and a vice chairman of Education, NC.
Gen X in our water, a common sense response. And Coley and Mary Baggett Martin. Last February, DuPont and Chemours agreed to pay $670 million in settle thousands of lawsuits related to their decades-long release of tons of C8, a toxic chemical used in the production of Teflon, into the Ohio River. In a striking similar case, in June of this year, North Carolinians discovered that Chemours, a spin-off of DuPont, had been releasing Gen X, another chemical used in the production of Teflon, into the Cape Fear River for 37 years. It seems that every week brings another dire warning about chemical substances in the Cape Fear, which is the source of drinking water for hundreds of thousands of North Carolinians. The names are scary enough: Gen X, Naphion, 1004, dioxane. Scarier still is that these chemicals are coming from approved industrial sites, and no one seems to know how dangerous they really are. Does this make sense that industrial plants under their operating permits have been allowed to release chemicals into our drinking water supplies without knowing how toxic they are? This is playing roulette with the public's health. This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029. Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or concerns or comments, please call 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Robert Mean
and Beverly Simonette, and we are proud to serve you today. Equally non-essential is the government's historic approach to this dilemma, which has been to deal with the problems of the back end, trying to clean our rivers after they already have been polluted, rather than the front end by regulating the industries that are dumping dangerous chemicals into our water supply. In the case of Gen X, Governor Roy Cooper said a federal consent decree allowed Chemours to discharge the chemical into the Cape Fear because it is a byproduct of another chemical substance and it's therefore unregulated. This is a loophole that should be closed by amending the Federal Clean Water Act. Experts say that Chemours has compounded the problem by not disclosing information about Gen X to the public because of trade secrets, which is an appalling lack of transparency. If Chemours wants state and local permits to operate their plants, they must be forced to disclose what they are discharging into our public waters. We could accomplish this with statewide zoning laws so that counties like Bladen, where Kimball is located, are required to give citizens the right to engage and inform public is the first step in protecting our drinking water. More fundamentally, there should be a tougher public review and approval process that looks at the potential off-site impact of industrial development before plants are allowed to be built and opened in our communities. There is an existing process for this, which makes opening and operating industrial plants subject to approval of a special use permit, but it has been continually watered down by special interests and it needs more teeth. In March, the New Hanover County Board of Commissioners and Planning Board amended the special use permit process for intensive industrial uses and added much needed provisions to increase public notice and involvement in the process. But at the same time, the boards caved to pressure from business and industry. They reclassified certain heavy industries, including basic chemical, as general and or limited, allowing potentially toxic plants to exist alongside residential neighborhoods and retail areas. And the New Hanover County Commissioners stripped language that would have required heavy industries such as chemists to disclose the potential impact of their operations on our drinking water, natural environment, and public health. Board members argued that disclosure of adverse impacts would create a liability for companies and would be disincentive for new businesses to locate in our community. This is old think. A tougher and more transparent statewide special use permit process would promote an economically and environmentally sustainable future with clean air, clean water, and clean jobs. It would help counties like New Hanover attack good-paying, clean industries in a healthy environment where employees would want to live and work and raise families. These are common sense measures to protect our drinking water, environment, and public health. Our state and local authorities have the muscle to enforce tougher environmental and regulatory standards. It's time they use it. Mary Maggot Martin of Wilmington is the co-owner of the Blockade Runner Beach Resort and a community advocate and coastal conservation and water quality. And Coley is a Charlotte native who is executive director and vice president of the Orton Foundation, an affiliate of Moore Charitable Foundation, which focuses on protecting the Cape Fear River Basin.
Inside politics, new election law trips up Robertson. Fayetteville Mayor Nat Robertson has run afoul of a new campaign finance law in the ongoing 2017 election. He has not been filing his campaign finance reports electronically with the North Carolina Board of Elections and Ethics Enforcement in Raleigh, as required by a law that took effect January 1st. Instead, Robertson has submitted old-fashioned paper copies to the Cumberland County Board of Elections in Fayetteville. And that means in the middle of the fiercely fought race for mayor between Robertson and City Councilman Mitch Colvin, the public can't review Robertson's financial reports online. These records show who has given him money, how much money he has raised, and how he has spent it. Colvin has filed his reports electronically. His records are readily available. But a search for Robertson's records generates this message: no documents found. This generated suspicion of shenanigans among Colvin backers. Robertson, a state election official, said Friday that his campaign had trouble with the software used to upload the records. In the meantime, Robertson said he asked permission from the Cumberland County Elections Office to file paper records instead. He has filed his financial documents on time. The Fayetteville Observer in September was able to view the records of the County Elections Office and make copies. More recently, the election staff has emailed scanned copies of Roberts' latest filings quickly following request by telephone. Election returns gathering. The traditional gathering to watch this year's municipal elections results starts at 7 p.m. Tuesday in Ballroom of the Crown Coliseum Complex on Owen Drive. The unofficial results from the State Board of Elections website will be projected on the large screens in the room, and candidates, supporters, media outlets, and residents are welcome to gather together to await the numbers, a news release said. Relay voting started October 19th and ended Saturday. Election Day voting runs from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Those looking to snack during the gathering can visit the ESPN Radio Upper Deck restaurant just outside the ballroom, the news release says. People who want to view the results from elsewhere can do so online at co.cumberland.nc.us/elections.aspx. Tax protest. Local progressive activists held a protest on Friday in downtown Fayetteville against the federal tax cuts that Republicans have proposed in Congress. Cape Fear Indivisible contends that the plan in the long term will boost taxes for middle-income families while cutting taxes for corporations and wealthy people. Meetings. Libertarian Party of Cumberland County meets Wednesday at Robo Dojo at 111 Lamone Street, number 127B in Fayetteville. The Fayetteville Republican Women's Club meets Thursday at 6:30 p.m. at Super King Buffet on 515 North McPherson Church Road in Fayetteville. Dinner starts at 5:30 p.m. The meeting starts at 6:30 p.m. The guest is Fayetteville Police Chief Gina Hawkins. The keynote speaker is North Carolina Court of Appeals Judge John M. Tyson. For more information, you can email fwrc2013@gmail.com or call area code 910-489-2055. You can submit political news and announcements to Inside Politics at FAYobserver.com.
3,000 local children need our help. That's from Mac Blacklick. I heard a heartbreaking figure on Friday from the folks at the Salvation Army. Their list of families needing help with Christmas this year will include at least 3,000 children, most of them in Cumberland County, as well as 200 to 300 senior citizens. These are families who can't afford to provide presents under the tree on Christmas morning, and seniors who ask for simple gifts such as a blanket, pajamas, or cooking utensils. These numbers are significantly higher than last year, even though we had so many more people dealing with Hurricane Matthew recovery. This year, the Salvation Army in Fayetteville says it has received applications from a total of 1,075 families, with a few hundred more likely to come. An average year is about 850 families. I'm writing about this because it means we have our work cut out for us. The Salvation Army can't provide Christmas to 3,000 kids by itself. Fayetteville, Cumberland County, and our neighbors would need to step up like never before. And here's how. Soon, angel trees with children's wish lists will appear at businesses and the mall. You and your family, church, or office can pick a family off the tree and adopt them by buying Christmas presents. Look for angel trees at Bryan Honda, the PWC, Chick-fil-A on Ramsey Street, and Cross Creek Mall near the food court. Want to host an angel tree at your business? Call Rhonda Merritt Quador or Michelle Shields at 910-483-8119. You also can adopt a family from lists in the Fayetteville Observer starting on Black Friday, November 24th. We publish as many as possible in the newspaper and also highlight some of the family stories. Some are still struggling to rebuild after the hurricane. Other families were dealt crippling financial blows from medical bills. Still others have lost their jobs. I asked Merritt Quador if she believes the Salvation Army can meet such a great need this year. I'm hoping, she said. The average gift is under $50. But even if they can sponsor just one child, it will make a difference. If a church will take a couple of angels, families list from the angel trees, that will be wonderful. It's very sad that even in today's society, we have several families who have lost jobs. But but for the grace of God, if you aren't able to buy presents from an angel tree, you can still help. Give to the Bill Shaw Salvation Army Christmas Fund, named after the longtime Observer photographer who worked so hard for 25 years, leading the newspaper fundraising campaign. Donations to the fund help the Salvation Army with its Christmas program, as well as its food pantry, shelter, and other year-round programs. The Observer's annual tradition of publishing the names of Bill Shaw Fund donors resumes November 24. We'll soon have details on how to make your donation. If you have any questions about these programs, call the Salvation Army at 910-483-8119 or 910-987-7169. Or you're welcome to call me. I know it's only the first weekend in November, but the holidays will be here before you know it. Don't let it slip by. Don't let it slip by such an important cause as helping provide a happy Christmas to a local child. And if your family who missed the you're a family who missed the application deadline, there's one final day to apply, November 16th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 220 East Russell Street. The Salvation Army serves Cumberland, Hope, Robeson, Scotland, and Moore counties. Call 483-8119 for details. This is Executive Editor Matt Leckler. Can be reached at mleclercq@fayobserver.com or 910-486-3551.
Tonight on television, ABC, WTVD Channel 11 and WPDE Channel 15. From 8 to 10, Dancing with the Stars. The 6 remaining couples perform live. From 10 to 11, Living Every Day, Luke Bryan. CBS, WNCN Channel 17, WBTW Channel 13. From 8 to 8:30, Kevin Can Wait. From 8:30 to 9, The Big Bang Theory. From 9 to 9:30, Superior Donuts. From 9:30 to 10, 9, AKL. Tonight's episode, TVMD. From 10 to 11, Scorpion. Devices tracked through the sewers. Fox, WRAZ Channel. The Bird searches for answers. From 10 to 11, the news. NBC, WECT Channel 6, WMBF Channel 32, and WRAL Channel 5. From 8 to 10, The Voice. The Knockouts Part 2. Teammates are pitted against each other. From 10 to 11, The Brave. The team heads to Paris on a mission. PBS, WUNC Channel 4, WUNU, and WUNJ. From 8 to 9, Antiques Roadshow. From 9 to 10, VA, The Human Cost of War. From 10 to 11:30, Independent Lens, featuring jazz artist John Coltrane. A&E Channel 21. From 8 to 10, Kids Who Kill, Inside the Minds of Young Killers. And beginning at 10, Women Who Kill, Women Who Killed Family Members. AMC Channel 41. From 6:30 to 9 p.m., a 2-star Western from 1990. Young Guns 2, starring Emilio Estevez, Kiefer Sutherland, and Lou Diamond Phillips. Billy the Kid and Gang Gallop to Mexico. From 9 to 10, Ride with Norman Reedus. And beginning at 10, A two-star Western from 1988, Young Guns, starring Emilio Estevez. 6 deputized regulators become the objects of a manhunt. Discovery Channel, Channel 42, from 8 to 9, Fast and Loud, Revved Up, all about the bass. From 9 to 10, Fast and Loud, Bad Bass, the team goes over schedule. From 10 to 11, Max Grundy, Max and Wade build custom vehicles. TVN Channel 68 from 8 to 9, Praise the Lord. From 9 to 9:30, Franklin Graham. From 9:30 to 10, Jesse Duplantis. From 10 to 10:30, Graham TV. From 10:30 to 11, Greg Laurie.tv. TBS Channel 24 from 8 to 10 for back-to-back episodes of Family Guy. And from 10 to 11 to back-to-back episodes of American Dad. Turner Classic Movies, Channel 54. From 8 to 10, a 3-star documentary from 1976, Hollywood on Trial. Archival footage recalls of Hollywood 10. And beginning at 10, a 2-star drama from 1945, Our Vines Have Tender Grapes, starring Edward G. Robinson, Margaret O'Brien, and James Craig. The Learning Channel, Channel 23, from 8 to 9, Long Lost Family. From 9 to 10, Long Island Medium. From 10 to 11, The Healer. And TNT Channel 28, from 8 to 11, a 3-star war film from 2014, American Sniper, starring Bradley Cooper, Sienna Miller, and Jake McDonough. That is what is on television tonight.
Hope Meal Ceremony honors Vietnam War veterans. It took Walter Drink a while to unwind upon returning home after being wounded during combat in Vietnam. The retired Army Lieutenant Colonel talked about his experience adjusting to the civilian life as the guest speaker for the Hope Mills Heroes Homecoming Ceremony on Sunday afternoon. It made me a stronger person to go to Vietnam, Brinker told the crowd. I would do it again. More than 75 people attended the event hosted by the Hope Mills Veterans Advisory Commission at Hope Mills Municipal Park. The event included a flag-folding ceremony, multiple patriotic songs, a roll call of the town service members who died in Vietnam, and a recognition of military families. The event is one of many taking place through the Heroes Homecoming Initiative. The initiative, in its 5th year, is a project of the Fayetteville Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. This year, the project's theme is honoring Vietnam veterans. The event opened with comments by Hope Mills Chamber of Commerce President Jan Spell. I can only imagine how hard it was for soldiers returning home, Spell said. I want to thank all you veterans. Mayor Jackie Warner also spoke. She said her father was a Vietnam veteran who died as a result of the things he came in contact with during the war. Warner said the town of Hope Mills tries its best to help veterans. The town of Hope Mills appreciates the veterans who have decided to retire here, Warner said. Brinkle spoke about his experiences in Vietnam and in dealing with post-traumatic stress or disorder from combat. He advised veterans to go to reunions, find a hobby, and find ways to help the community. I believe being a habitual giver is the antidote to PTSD, Bricker said. A missing man table was unveiled at the ceremony. The table is a symbolic gesture remembering those who were prisoners of war or went missing in action during the Vietnam War. More than 150 of such tables will be placed throughout Cumberland County as part of the project. To read more about the Missing Man Table, go to populw.org/missing-man-honors-table-history.html/. To learn more about the Heroes Homecoming Project, go to heroeshomecoming.com. Staff writer Monica Ventaluli Venetuli can be reached at mvenituli@fayobserver.com or 486-3596.
Record crowd attends ceremony for Latin icon Selena by Mike Sidoni, the Associated Press, Los Angeles. Some 4,500 fans gathered on Vine Street in Hollywood on Friday to pay tribute to the late Cubano music queen Selena Quintanilla, who was honored with the 2,622nd star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Known simply as Selena, the singer-songwriter broke barriers for women in Latin music. She opened the floodgates for a new generation of contemporary artists of Latin descent who would go on to enjoy huge popularity with mainstream American audiences. Selena was born in Texas in 1971. She died in 1995 at 23 after being shot by a business colleague. Her music still resonates. As of 2015, Selena had sold more than 65 million units worldwide, making her the best-selling female artist in Latin music history. According to a Hollywood Chamber of Commerce spokeswoman, Selena's crowd was the largest ever for a Walk of Fame ceremony, breaking a 1998 record set by onlookers at the unveiling of the star for Mexican singer Vicente Fernandez. "This is history in the making," said Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti at the podium, repeating himself in Spanish. "Selena was an angel," he continued, which generated cheers. "We thank the family for all they gave and have given this country, and it's a message we need now more than ever, because we aren't strangers to this land. This is our home." Numerous celebrity guests at the ceremony included actor Edward James Olmos, who appeared in 1997 biopic Selena, starring Jennifer Lopez. Desperate Housewives actress Eva Longoria was the only one to go up to the dais. "Selena's voice was a key that unlocked the hearts and minds of millions," Longoria said. "She was a small-town girl with a big heart and a smile that radiated and captivated people everywhere. That small town was my hometown of Corpus Christi, Texas. She was the face I finally saw that looked like mine." And there's a picture of Suzette Quintanilla, sister of the late singer Selena Quintanilla, holding a replica of her sister's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame as she poses with young fan Sammy Corona Lampa, age 4, of Moreno Valley, California, on Friday in Los Angeles. The La Bamba star apologizes for DWI, the Associated Press, Portland, Texas. Actor Lou Diamond Phillips has apologized for his arrest in Texas on a charge of driving while intoxicated. Phillips told KIII-TV that it was a mistake and it will never happen again. Police in the coastal community of Portland arrested Phillips around 1:30 a.m. on Friday. Jail records show the La Bamba star was freed after posting bail on the Class A misdemeanor. Police Chief Mark Corey says the 55-year-old Phillips drove up to an officer and asked for directions. The officer suspected Phillips had been drinking. Corey says Phillips' blood alcohol level was 20%, which is more than twice the legal limit for driving. Phillips apologized for his arrest during a speaking engagement later Friday in Corpus Christi. And this concludes our reading of Monday's Fayetteville Observer, dated November 6, 2017. Your radio host have been
Beverlyn Simonette
and Robert Bean. For our radio listeners, we will now join the Raleigh Network for additional programming. We've been listening to the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. Thank you for tuning us in this morning. We've enjoyed being with you, and have a wonderful day.